Like, Lord, make sure I make it back home safe, you know, Not to that I'm thinking, I'm just thinking he gonna keep me safe regardless if I you know, say your name.
Yeah.
But I didn't really know who you were, you know, so at this time I said, okay, God, I don't know. I started going to church seriously around the age of 20. And I was with my ex-husband at the time, and something happened, and this one person who I didn't even have a relationship with, I actually thought she acted funny in the church, but I had her number for some reason. I only had her number. So I called and I'm like, listen, this is where I'm at. You said y'all be saying this, and I'm talking to her like, cause y'all say y'all talk about God in church all, but this I don't. I'm going crazy. You know what I mean? So called her, and she just went to praying, and she told me to pray and pray and pray. So I went to pray. I went to walk around my house. She told me to get oil, stuff like that. I'm doing what she's saying to do, and I felt this cool wind over me. I felt like this, when they say Russian wind, the song Russian wind, and I'm like, oh, okay, Russian wind, you know. But no, like I felt him for myself. I felt his presence on me. I felt a calming on my spirit. And when I got off the phone, I'm like, okay, so you're going to test it still. Like, okay, maybe it's just her coming through the phone. Maybe it's her power. Maybe I'm getting chills. Maybe I'm just, you know, all of the superficial
things that come in your mind,
that the world has taught us, right? Got off that phone, and I was still praying, and I felt him. And he put something on me that felt like it was his grace. It was his mercy. It was his love. And an unconditional love, like, my mama can't give me that love God gave me. My daddy can't give me that love God gave me. You can't. I'm sorry. Like, you can't. But at that moment, I can say that's when I knew him for myself. That's when I knew he was present with me, and I could actually talk to him and have a conversation. That's when I learned how to talk to him, and you know what I mean? Like, really, like, it's me, Lord, what's up? Hey, this happened today, and you said, you know?
Exactly.
So that's when I knew him for myself.
So for me, I've always, even like when I was like 6 years old, I've always had a reverence. I always knew that he was real. I always knew his power. But it was, if I'm being transparent, it was always based off of others, you know? So I will say that when I knew him for myself is when he came and got me off that couch, when he kept me on that couch. I went through a really, really bad bout of depression where I couldn't even physically get up. Couldn't get off the couch. I was just on my couch for like days, weeks at a time. And it's like he came and he just sat with me in that time. And he said, you know, as clear as day, whatever a man think, that's what he is. You know, and I just kept saying that. So if you change how you're thinking, you'll change how you feel. And it was also the fact that, you know, I stopped being who I was. And I'm a very present person in the people that I'm connected to. So when I checked out, you know, I'm checking out, he sent people to see about me. You know, he sent people to call, like my cousin, she would call me, you ain't babes? Girl, get up. Girl, that's girl.
Right.
I love her.
I know.
Yes. But it's like, you know, that's how, like I said, I've always knew who he was, knew he was real. It was never a superficial religious knowledge of him, but to really say that I truly know him for myself in everything that I've ever spoke about or said about him, it really came to representation in that moment for me. Like I can, yeah, he came and saw me. He loved me. He came and sat with me in that time.
Yeah.
He didn't allow my thoughts, as dark as they were, they didn't go to a place of not wanting to be here physically. It was very dark, don't get me wrong, it was a very, very dark time, but he came and he sat with me. He came and saw about me. And that, you know, that's where I know, like you said, it's something about it. Because, you know, you have people in your lives that want to be there, you know, but things, you know, are in the way of being, but nothing stood in the way of him coming and seeing about me. So for me, that's my testimony about him.
That's what's up. Okay. So then this will be our little break. Interlude. Let me make sure it's still recording. All right, we had 32 minutes, so we could. So, next question. You want me to go or you go?
Listen, you know.
All right, so I'm trying to see how I worded it. It's pretty much like, once you've had, so I had two questions. So one was, once you had a specific type of person, does that become your standard going forward? And the other one was, but I ain't worded like that though. The other one was, you touched on it though. Going to visit your mom and staying, you already touched on that.
Yeah.
So those are my two questions. I'm trying to think which one. What you think? We can make this happen.
We can touch on the first one. The first one, as far as like when you experience a certain type of person, or you love, you know, you fall in love with that type of person and it doesn't work out, or it, you know, it ends. Is that, you know, who you hold in your standard?
Okay, let me say it.
Okay.
Cause you said it too good. I'm trying to remember every word you just said. Alright, so once you have experienced a certain type of person, and you've loved them, you've, you know, created whatever with them, does that now become your standard for what you look for? Because, you know, you're single, I'm single. Is that something that, or is it like, oh no, I don't want that at all? Because what I've learned too is like, I love hard. And I will give it my all until I want to stay present in something, as long as I know I'm trying to give my all to something.
Right.
And then once I've exhausted my all, then I'm
hands washed.
Hands washed, because I gave you everything positive I have.
Yeah.
Positive.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And I didn't learn that until, I say this all the time, I wasn't ready to be a wife until I got divorced.
Okay.
I wasn't ready to give someone something. I got married at 21. And I'm thankful we have the relationship we have now. We were both young. We were both like, you know, didn't know who we were.
Yeah.
And not knowing who you are, that is dangerous when trying to connect with someone.
Yes.
Because now it's like I'm pulling on you, you pulling on me. I'm not satisfied with who I am. I'm trying to take from you, and then I'm trying to add to me, and we're both like upset with each other. It's when you are not sure of who you are, or not confident in yourself, not building yourself up, not those things. And it's levels to it, because, you know, I've experienced something in different relationships where, okay, who I am at this point, I'm building myself up, and I might not have been happy or satisfied in something, and then who I am in this, I'm satisfied with me, but I might be dealing with someone who is not satisfied with who I am, and that's cool too.
Right.
You know, but it's my standard for myself.
Exactly.
You can't push me into something I'm not ready for.
Right.
And you can't push someone else into something they're not ready for.
Agree.
So, do you accept a person for who they are? Do you encourage? Do you? And what I love about my pastor, my apostle, he always talks about his wife, and always says how he doesn't force anything on her. Who he is and what he walks in and his calling. And listen, he is who he is. She is who she is. But it's till death. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they're going to continue to build and grow, but he's going to allow God to do his work in her.
Yes.
He's not going to force anything on her.
Yeah.
I love that. But, so how do you feel about that? How do you feel?
I'll say this. Just being a spectator of love, not being a player or participant.
You've never been
Not
in
to
love?
say I've never been in love, but like being in a committed relationship, I've been a spectator in. I will say initially I did allow what people will call just the bare minimum, or what should be given when you're getting to know someone, or when you're courting, you're dating, whatever you decide to call it, or wherever you are in your walk and what you consider. I did at one point.
Alright, so once you have experienced a certain type of person, and you've loved them, you've created whatever with them, does that now become your standard for what you look for? Because you're single, I'm single. Is that something that, or is it like, oh no, I don't want that at all? Because what I've learned too is like, I love hard, and I will give it my all until I want to stay present in something, as long as I know I'm trying to give my all to something.
Right.
And then once I've exhausted my all, then I'm
hands washed.
Hands washed, because I gave you everything positive I have.
Yeah.
Positive.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And I didn't learn that until, I say this all the time, I wasn't ready to be a wife until I got divorced.
Okay.
I wasn't ready to give someone something. I got married at 21. And I'm thankful we have the relationship we have now. We were both young. We were both like, didn't know who we were.
Yeah.
And not knowing who you are, that is dangerous when trying to connect with someone.
Yes.
Because now it's like I'm pulling on you, you pulling on me. I'm not satisfied with who I am. I'm trying to take from you, and then I'm trying to add to me, and we're both like upset with each other. It's when you are not sure of who you are, or not confident in yourself, not building yourself up, not those things. And it's levels to it, because I've experienced something in different relationships where, okay, who I am at this point, I'm building myself up, and I might not have been happy or satisfied in something, and then who I am in this, I'm satisfied with me, but I might be dealing with someone who is not satisfied with who I am, and that's cool too.
Right.
But it's my standard for myself.
Exactly.
You can't push me into something I'm not ready for.
Right.
And you can't push someone else into something they're not ready for.
Agree.
So, do you accept a person for who they are? Do you encourage? And what I love about my pastor, my apostle, he always talks about his wife, and always says how he doesn't force anything on her. Who he is and what he walks in and his calling. And listen, he is who he is. She is who she is. But it's till death. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they're going to continue to build and grow, but he's going to allow God to do his work in her.
Yes.
He's not going to force anything on her.
Yeah.
I love that. But so how do you feel about that? How do you feel?
I'll say this. Just being a spectator of love, not being a player or participant.
You've never been
Not
in love?
to say I've never been in love, but like being in a committed relationship, I've been a spectator in. I will say initially I did allow what what people will call just the bare minimum, or what should be given when you're getting to know someone, or when you're courting, you're dating, whatever you decide to call it, or wherever you are in your walk and what you consider. I did at one point, take this person that I did fall in love with and hold, and do a comparison game, of, well, at least they don't do this, or they don't do that, so no, or he's not like this, so no, kind of thing. And then I had to realize that, God has given us the blueprint on, how to love, how to be, what to do. He came and he spent 33 years on this earth and basically walked out what we should and how we should treat each other, how we should love each other, just the blueprint, and I think that it's in its infancy stages, if I'm being honest. And instead of having that person, translating back to who God is and how and what who he is, and how he cares, how he loves, how he, chastises, how he inspires, how he corrects, all of that. All of that should be kind of what you are looking for to align to or look to, or should be that blueprint, or should be who you should compare that man to. Not to say that he should be Jesus, because we ain't perfect at all. Right. But I think it's important to, I think we do ourselves a disservice when we take what someone else has done or didn't do for us, and then expect that next person to make those wrongs right, or be somebody that they're not, I think it's important to go into it looking at a person for who they are and why you like them and why you're attracted to them. Right. And then if you are going to compare, it's against God and, who he is.
I see it like, because you spectated me. And I've been one extreme or the other, and I'm learning balance. In one season of my life, I'm not going to accept this. You need to tighten up on that. Standard of a man is this, and I'm on this person hard. And then in another season, I'm accepting anything that person did or gave, or good or bad.
Don't mean to cut you off, but did it come from a place of he's not what I've experienced? He's completely different from what I'm experienced. So because he's not that, it
wasn't that. Okay. I would say it was more so trying to balance what God is doing in me, and the grace God gave me, and what I've come from, and who I was in my past relationship, and just kind of like, okay, I see you, right, and I see what you're doing. I did it too. You gotta grow through it. You know what I mean? And allowing a person to grow. Yeah. And I'm thinking in my mind, I'm gonna love them through it. Right. God gave me that grace, and maybe this is who I'm, how we're supposed to love, and how we're supposed to, and then he opened up the floodgates of water. Like in the past 5 years, I was not a crier. Yeah. I was not like I wasn't a person. So now, because I can't respond how I used to, I just gotta cry and pray, Lord. I'm just gonna cry and pray. I'm just gonna cry and pray. I can't yell. I can't say nothing back. I can't cheat back. I can't, you know what I mean? Can't get my lick back. No. I can't keep contraband in my phone. No. I can't keep receipts. No. Nothing. I gotta forgive everything, and God gave me a forgiving heart. Yeah. And I'm learning now how to balance that. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think that's where in my past, my previous, like, I held everything. Remember in 2005 when you did this at 6 o'clock and I pulled up, you know what I mean? So it's like I was two extremes. And now I'm learning the balance of the two. Yeah. But still, I still want to keep a piece of me from both. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Because it's you. It's still you. It all makes up you.
Yeah, I'm not going to accept the bare minimum, but then I'm not going to allow certain things that I don't accept.
Yeah. Or just because you're a step above. My cousin, she said something to me it was so powerful, and because I was trying to figure out how I was going to leave a situation that never served me in the first place, and she said my fear for you is because you've accepted the bare minimum, that somebody's going to come along and they're going to offer you just a little bit above what the bare minimum is, and you're going to think it's gold instead of
No, you're not.
Instead of just knowing that you deserve, as much as you give, as big as your heart is and how amazing of a person you are, that's what you should get back. Not in the exact same way.
Yeah.
Not in the same way. It's not going to be mirrored.
Yeah.
It's going to be in that person's own way.
Yeah.
Because
I don't want a person like me.
Yeah, no.
I could be a bit much. We don't need two of me. I want to love how I want to love you, not because I want you to mirror my love. I want, certain things that I might want you to do. I'm more of affection. If I give a gift, it's something that I'm really like, I pay attention to you. I pay so I'm not going to do this grand gesture to buy you a Rolex or something like that. But I might want one. You know what I mean?
I think it's important to love people how they recognize love, and the way that I recognize love is the unconditional love that God gives us.
Love me to your best ability.
Yes.
And to my standard too. But love me to your because I was having a conversation with someone one time, and they was asking me, what's your love language? What's this? What's that? Like, asking me 21 questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, if I tell you all of these things, you're going to do them only because I gave you a blueprint or a cheat sheet. And you're not even going to be able to keep up with it. You're only doing it because I said I like it.
Right.
Who are you?
Yes.
Who
that
are
is
you?
So
show up
important.
As yourself.
Yeah.
Show up as how you love, and let me. I like it. I like that you did that. Oh, you saw that my picture was crooked and you went and fixed it. I like a handyman.
Yeah.
Oh, you saw that the trash needed to be taken out and you just took it. I like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's certain things that I want to be able to point out so that they can do more of it, just because they're just doing them, and I want to be able to, applaud them and thank them for just being them.
Yeah.
Not because I gave you a cheat sheet, and
you're putting yourself in a box. I think sometimes we put out, when it comes to loving people or on this journey of love, we sometimes put ourselves in a box to kind of fit.
It's a long journey.
Girl, maybe as long as it's been, listen, it's been a long time.
I'm great for all that. I'm so grateful.
But it's I think we put ourselves in boxes with the expectation that I love this person, so we ignore certain things. I'll say one of the best things that I did, the guy that I dated, first time in my life, we dated, and I got the proof because I asked him, and he said we was dating, so that's how I knew. Because what are we doing? So what are we doing?
Right.
We dating, cool. That's all I need to know.
Right. I'm not wasting my time.
Right. I knew I was attracted to him. I knew that he was a good man. He was older than me. He was. So I was nervous about, if it did get serious, how that conversation. He was 9 years older than me. Do you want to know how you want to know how I got him? You want to know how I got him? I met him. I had just ended my. I observed Passover, and that's where you remove all of the leavened bread from your home.
She taught me about Jewish.
Go ahead. So I removed that, and I'm gonna do this. So it was me kind of get back out there, and I was going on my way looking for me some Crown Apple because I was in my Crown. That was my Crown Apple season. I loved me some Crown Apple on the rocks. And I went out, and I was sitting. The only seat available was between these two couples. One eventually actually was a couple, and the other I found out was a sibling, a brother and sister. So we hung out, we started talking, everything's cool, laughing, and we ended up starting to hang out, and I'll never forget, he was attracted to me, but he knew I was younger. And as I got to know him, I realized like he has a lot of good friends. He's a really great person. And he has a lot of great friends around him, his age, of course. So, me being young, I get it. But how I pulled him was, I was talking to his sister, and we were talking about music. We were talking about 90s. And she was like, I don't really like the, 90s music. And I was like, you don't like this person, you don't like this person, you don't like LSG. And he was like listening, but he wasn't listening. And he was like, LSG.
Right.
I was like, yes, LSG, right. Levert, Sweat.
Yes.
So I was like, that's my album. And then from then on, he realized like because I can hang with older people, but then I can hang with younger people too. I can hang with people my age, the young folks I call them, but I can hang with people my age. Yeah. But yeah, like he was. I said all that, and I'm trying to get back to my thought on the original because we segue off of there. But I was dating him. Found it. And my approach was, you know what? I know what I do like about him. So let me look for what I don't. And then ask myself, if this never changes, if we end up together, we end up being together, and it never changes, am I okay with it?
Yeah.
Because we approach things and we get in situations and we know what we love about them. We know what we like about them. But then we forget to go over what we don't, because you're not going to, it's unrealistic to think you're going to love everything about someone. You're not. And if we spend time, not only cultivating and exploring what we like about a person, but give room to discuss what we don't like about them, I think we'll save ourselves a lot of heartache and a lot of pain. And a lot of arguments. I'm a firm believer. That's
no more. No more arguing. Lord, that's a lot. But so we'll end it on love. I think that this was a success, and it's plenty more to come. Yay! So we have been heard.
Period.
And stay tuned for the next episode.